Oh, Christopher Sands is a senior fellow at the Hudson Institute. He studies the relationship between Canada and the U.S., and he's in Washington as well tonight. Chris, good to see you. Thanks for coming to talk to us. And I'm curious, as we talk about the two sides in this relationship, you tell me, who needs who more in this relationship?
Well, I think we both need each other. That's the dilemma. And in the broader U.S. interest, we want to build the pipeline, but before we can get to the national interest, we have to have domestic politics. And as Paul said in the last segment, I mean, absolutely, the U.S. politics here are getting in the way of national interest, common sense, everything else you might use to justify a decision on this pipeline. But
obviously, as Paul was mentioning too, and I'm sure you'd agree with this, it's going to be an election issue. I mean, it's already becoming that listening to the Republicans today. But can that, in the long term, I mean, the conventional wisdom of the pipeline will go through, but if it becomes a hot-button election issue, could that help to kill the pipeline?
I don't think so. It really depends where Canada sits on this. And right now, I think Canada is watching itself get batted back and forth between Republicans and Democrats. But Stephen Harper's been careful not to embrace the Republican position or to make things too difficult for the Democrats, because you just don't know who's going to win the election, and Harper needs to deal with whoever came out. By creating this avenue to China, he's making sure that Canada isn't a victim in all of this, but trying to position Canada to actually be more of a player. Right now, I think that there's very little likelihood this debate will help. But also, at the same time, whoever wins the election, I agree with the conventional wisdom, will end up building the pipeline.
But doesn't that reveal, though, an element of hypocrisy in all this? If at the end of the day, both sides want it, then build the pipeline instead of the political posturing that's going on now.
Well, I think that what you're seeing is the fallout of a very frustrating year and a half for the environmental movement in the United States. They really hoped that with the election of Barack Obama, who's very committed to dealing with carbon and carbon pollution, that we would see the U.S. take the lead in getting some climate change legislation through Congress, the cap and trade bill, maybe even a carbon tax. Not only did that not happen in the first 2 years of the administration, but with the election of a Republican House in 2010, it became impossible. And the White House had to signal to environmentalists it wasn't going to come anytime soon. At the same time, the recession has made it very difficult to talk about the climate. People worry that, yes, we need to have a cleaner environment, but who's going to pay for it? And with higher gas taxes, higher energy prices, a lot of the struggling middle class and the poor felt that they were going to be asked to finance this crusade for a more clean environment. And so the politics became very difficult, and politicians kept telling the environmentalists, no, not now, maybe later. And they fixated on Keystone as the way that they could do at least something to try to help the planet at a time when more comprehensive legislation just wasn't going to happen.
But at the end of the day, the demand hasn't been increased. Yeah, the pipeline's been delayed, and some environmentalists have called this a victory, but I don't know what's being won here, because the demand is still there, the need is still there, and the oil sands are still there. Looks like it's going to happen nonetheless.
Absolutely, and that's why it's such a Pyrrhic victory. I mean, if you want to stop eating Twinkies, then all you need to do is stop consuming them. So getting rid of a pipeline of Twinkies would be a good solution. But if you need to stop the production and consumption of Twinkies worldwide, then a particular store that sells Twinkies or a particular pipeline that brings Twinkies into your home isn't going to be enough. It's just a step in the direction that you want to go. Ultimately, Canada's oil gets sold. You can't solve the problem of carbon in the environment on the backs of this pipeline, and there are many reasons why this pipeline, I think, makes sense. After all, Americans will pay a premium for cleaner oil. They'll pay Canada to clean it up in a way that the Chinese and many other consumers won't. So I think environmentalists are happy today, but they're probably in the long run going to be disappointed in the outcome of this particular decision.
Interesting analogy, given the fact that Twinkies are now going out of business because people wean themselves off Twinkies. Not sure the same thing's going to happen with oil, though.
All things in time.
All things in time. Chris Sands, always good to talk to you. Thanks for coming in tonight.
Thank you very much.